Hi, my name is Charles, and this is the Aoki Hill Bilingual Family Channel. I'm here at our local shrine. I like to talk about things related to language, specifically learning Japanese, but I think applicable to any other language. Tomorrow is, here's someone's coming by. So tomorrow is going to be my last day of 23 years of teaching English at a private high school here in Japan. And I thought this would be a good chance to reflect back on my experiences. So 23 years at this school, but before that, about another 12 years teaching a variety of people from babies. I was a horrible baby teacher, so I got fired from that pretty quickly. But from very small children to I had a student in his 80s. And the past 23 years, mainly focusing on high school students. And as far as the Japanese goes, I was a student at the same program that Dogen, the YouTuber Dogen, Keio University's Japanese program. I was there a long time before he was. I was there in the 1990s. And then after that, I've done a variety of translation work. So I've been thinking about what are the roadblocks? What are the roadblocks for people attempting to achieve a high level of language ability? I call it a bilingual ability because the target is, if you hold the mindset of wanting to become bilingual, is that whatever you can do in your native language, you want to be able to do in the second language. And for us here, it's Japanese. So I thought today I'd talk a little bit about that. Let's see, let's go up to the shrine here. So there's a lot of problems involved gaining a bilingual ability. And one of the major ones I've realized is something which I call the Jurassic Park frog DNA problem. And if you've seen the movies, you know that the whole series is based on one specific problem that happened right at the beginning. So when they were cloning the dinosaurs, they didn't have the intact DNA. So they fixed the gaps. They fixed the gaps in the dinosaur's DNA with the frog DNA. And if you've seen the movie, this is the singular problem that led to all of the problems, and it led to $1 billion industry and tons of movies and rides and theme parks and whatnot. So what is that? And how do you apply it to language learning that causes such a problem? Let's see. Oh, here we are. There's our local shrine. So what happens is vast majority of people who try to learn a language, myself included, learn by pieces. So learning vocabulary, learning grammar points, and not studying in a comprehensive way before attempting conversation. There we go. So what that means is that if I learn a certain amount of vocab and I learn a certain amount of grammar and I do a bunch of exercises and I get to where I can pass certain tests, I can do the JLPT, that kind of thing, then I go and try to communicate directly with people and try to use what I've learned. And with this piecemeal way, there are going to be gaps. And with the dinosaur DNA, they filled in the gaps with the frog DNA, and that causes the problems. And in the same way, we as piecemeal learners fill in the gaps with our first language. So our native language fills in the gaps. And we have to fill the gaps with something because we cannot communicate. We're talking to someone or we're trying to understand what they're saying and there are pieces missing, so we fill in instead of having learned whole pieces, like a whole language type approach. There's an idea called whole language, but I think this is a little bit different. And the gaps can help. We can get through conversations. We can have fun communicating with people, but they're always going to cause trouble at some point. So, what that generally turns out to be, in my experience, especially in Japanese, I don't know about other languages as well, is pronunciation, collocations, collocation meaning words that commonly go together. And another thing I noticed too, kind of a side thing, is the Japanese, what do you call polite language. There are different levels. There's one textbook that it divides levels, politeness levels, into level 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 being super polite, and 1 being super only with your best friend type talk. Now, here's an idea to try to not have this problem. And it's just an idea. It's what I'm working with now. And it's been very successful in my own language learning and not having problems like I had before. And that is starting with perfection. Starting with perfection. And what that could mean is you take one thing, one short conversation, even one sentence. You can even start with vocabulary if you're thinking about pronunciation, and really work on perfecting the pronunciation. Go into a sentence and work on perfecting the pronunciation of that sentence and the grammar of that sentence, and then expanding into a conversation or expanding into a whole story, and then build up from there. Now, probably no one's going to do that and only that, but let me recommend that adding that to whatever you're doing might be a really good idea. And the result of that is that you're going to have something that goes into your brain and into your vocal apparatus, your vocal tract, and correct's not a good word anymore, but easily understandable pronunciation that the Japanese person or whatever language you're studying, the native speaker, can easily understand and not have to worry about trying to figure out what he or she is saying. You are saying what you are saying. So that's just an idea of starting with a whole chunk. I studied how to teach language many years ago, and I believe there was something about whole chunks and that kind of thing. But what I'm thinking about is a complete thing where there is no room for error, and to keep inputting and being able to use without inventing anything. So that's one way to put it. So no invention. You're not making anything up. Everything you say or everything you're doing is something that you've heard before. There's the famous internet Japanese learner Katsumoto, the all Japanese, all the time person. And I believe he wrote somewhere, never say anything that you haven't heard come out of a Japanese person's mouth. And that's basically what I'm talking about. So if you just add that to what you're doing, I think you go a long way. Instead of learning these words and then trying to have a conversation. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do and that's what you want to try. But if you do that, if you learn pieces and then try to put them together to say something that you want to say, then you are going to run into problems, and you are going to run into situations where other people don't understand what you are saying, and that will also in turn cause you to not understand what other people are saying, because there are certain patterns, whether they're pronunciation patterns, grammar patterns, or even sociological culture patterns in the language. And natives understand each other in that way. So, one of the examples I thought of, I remember years ago hearing this, that I had a Japanese class in which they were Chinese students. And this was interesting because they often made a certain mistake where they would take adjective and add it to the noun by no. So, for example, you have akai hana. Akai hana, it's a red flower. They would say akai no hana. And the person listening could understand, could figure out what they mean, kind of. And like, oh, the person must mean this, must mean akai hana. But what it was in Chinese, the word that connects possessive, the no, akai no hana, no, is there in Chinese. And so they're using that to fill in that gap. So that's what I was talking about. I just remembered that. So, yep, just an idea. If you're having any kind of problems, just think, is this a Jurassic Park frog DNA problem? Is it not that I'm not getting something, but I'm adding to it? And this could even be anything you might have a preconceived notion about, going, oh, maybe I'm adding something. And the reason why I'm not understanding, or the reason why my friend is not understanding my Japanese, is maybe I'm adding something. And that's something you could look for, find, and then take away. Or you could just start whole chunk and learn complete sentences, learn complete conversations, learn whole stories, and use that as a way to input the language into your brain. So I hope that helps. If you have any ideas or opinions about this or any questions, let me know. Thanks.